This week was all about the attitude adorned in this blue facade, four-wheel jacked up presence, and reminded me of the days playing in the sandbox with the good old Tonka truck. Hey, welcome to this Dish Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now behind me is the 2021 Ram TRX. This bad boy is ready to play, and well, that means in any situation. From the sound and look of this vehicle, this isn't your standard Ram 1500, and Ram touts that this is the apex predator in the truck world, ready to handle the competition and anything you throw its way off the beaten path. And if you reference the good old Jurassic Park world, this is the T-Rex in the industry. While the T-Rex had little arms, you could say the TRX has a much farther reach, both with its overall footprint and its ability to pretty much go anywhere. Now, by the numbers, this vehicle is about 232 inches overall, wheelbase around about 145. Even more substantial numbers are width and height, with the width around about 88 inches, height 80 inches, and most of that is due to the ground clearance, with a skid plate around about a foot literally lifted off the ground, and that really translates to the overall height you see here. One of the first vehicles in quite some time that actually makes me look small. It also translates into the ingress, making for somewhat of a running affair, because these, well, implied little step rails here, really more for that rock crawling than that typical step. Beefy is one way to describe this vehicle, but only scratches the surface, a lot more than skin deep on this vehicle. But it all starts with design. First off, at the four corners, the wide haunches give this vehicle a very aggressive feel and that kind of off-road Baja look. At the tires, 325 65s wrapping an 18-inch wheel. But all that said, reminds people that this vehicle can get the job done, but it actually has to do it. And that all starts really with what's underneath here, specifically the frame. Using high strength steel really minimizes the torsion on the vehicle, really adds to durability and stability of when you go off-road. And also, of course, aggressive and much more highly tuned suspension that obviously can handle any task you throw at it. The business end of a truck naturally is back here, but on this vehicle, I'd argue it could be up front just the same, with that powerhouse under the hood getting the job done. But traditional workhorse for any truck is naturally back here, so obviously this vehicle is full throttle all the way around. Now, what you see here is a 5'7" bed, plenty of cargo space, around about 67 inches by 66 inches wide. Traditional hangout space when this tailgate is laid flat. What's not traditional is what you see strapped in here. Full-size spares can be found underneath the vehicle as well as in here. Naturally, going off-road in a pinch, you might need two options. Some cases, why not just carry a whole extra set? Plenty of room back here. As for other designs, you're going to find typical rear bumper, typical footing here in the middle. As for electronic release, going to ease that down into place. Getting in here may be a running affair, but on the side there is a step. You just press down. That's going to allow you to get in when this is down, making the step in. One other thing to mention is there is no fold down step on that side, so all the access going to be from over here. Some other numbers to talk about is the overall curb weight, around about 6,300 pounds, turning radius around 48 feet. Going to need plenty of room to get this thing back going the other direction, or at least an 18-point turn. Also here at the fill-up area, you're going to find around about 33 gallons, going to get you in the desert and out with plenty of range. Lastly is ingress. Even though this vehicle is, of course, rough around the edges, it still is fine-tuned right here at the door. Pretty much a nice push button to lock things up. Real integrated, meaning when you put your hand here, unlocks with ease. That does not translate to the second row. Unfortunately, they'll have to wait in rainy situations for the driver to eventually let them in. With the engine turned off, the TRX is quiet and you can hear nature once again. But sweep around to the good old grill warfare, you could say this vehicle is loud even when it's off. And it all starts with the blunt force trauma of in-your-face aggressiveness, not in the traditional sense of this huge wrapping grille, but the whole front end, the wide track, the raised hood, and of course the airflow that is gobbled up by this front end, not just through here, but also in this raised portion. But it's also about the extraction points here on the outer sides and on the outer fenders, really allowing cool air to go in and the hot to be extracted. As for the rest of the design, you're going to see this rubber fascia really sweeping around the front end and down the side, again helping with the minimizing scrapes and dings. Huge beefy toe strap areas right here and at the back. Lastly is, well, sensors. Sometimes you got to put this in the urban jungle, not necessarily in the woods, and you got to have that touchy point to make sure you don't hit things. Parking sensors up front and at the back, and of course, nice camera angles all the way around this vehicle. Last but not least is what lies beneath this hood. A 6.2 liter Hemi supercharged V8 engine delivers 702 horses and 650 foot-pounds of torque, coupled to a Torque Flight 8-speed automatic transmission. Less about clutch dance and more about getting down the road without, well, getting tired from just moving the good old proverbial pedals. But if you need to, there of course are the paddle shifters to sport things up. Now, normally I start with the bells and whistles, but on a vehicle like this, it's all about the performance. First off, here on the steering wheel, you do have the paddle shifters if you want to go with the manual-like feel, though I'd argue this vehicle is smarter than any input I can provide, so I typically let it do its own thing. As for the off-road worthiness, you're going to find that over here. First off, with the mode select, tons of options, everything from rock, Baja, sport, custom, tow, snow, and auto mode. Naturally, if you know me, I'm going with the auto. Again, let this vehicle figure it out. Down below, your four-wheel drive options, just simple push buttons. And lastly, the neck snapping fun. This vehicle isn't all about rock crawling, but also that 0 to 60. Just simply press that button, get it into launch mode, and you're pretty much ready to rocket down the road. Just a few test drives back, we tested out a standard Ram with this huge, nice touchscreen system when it came to infotainment and pretty much all the operation you're going to need here on the dash. First off, some shortcuts on the side. It took me a minute to reconfigure in my mind where these controls are. They're kind of hidden, nondescript, but once you locate them, real easy to operate. Fan speed here, dual zones up front with the temperature select up high. Obviously, you can go to more visual sense with the climate selection. That's going to give you everything right there front and center. Obviously, the shortcuts down below make life so much simpler. As you swing down, going to be other operations from towing, tons of auxiliary power controls down here, as well as other shortcuts for parking and traction control, and of course, downhill assist. Just below the dash, you'll find this nice little niche. This is going to be an area where you can kind of store smaller items, connectivity over here on the right, as well as wireless charging. Pretty much take your device that is so equipped, squeeze it in this little holder right there, and eventually you'll see that it is connected and will begin powering up. Climb inside the TRX, you'll quickly forget how much of a workhorse this vehicle is because of all the creature comforts that abound in this vehicle. First off, dual cup holders right where you need them, but also this huge center console really gives great elbow support, but more importantly, added storage in the form of a deep center console, nice illuminated so it helps at night, and connectivity in traditional household outlet. Also for connectivity, you'll find it in this upper tray right here with connection there when you need it. The center console also has a shallow tray up top. That's going to be more helpful when you need to store certain items and charge things up with traditional USB found right here. To help with the vertically challenged, you will find adjustment pedals there in the form of buttons to the left of the steering wheel. Just to either take the pedals closer or further away for different taller or shorter individuals. When it comes to cruise control, you have two options, the standard feature here on the right side or the adaptive option here on the left, allowing you to set the spacing with the other vehicles and allow the vehicle once again to help kind of keep your pace on the open road. With the overall size of this vehicle, certainly legroom numbers are going to be great, but interestingly, the backseat drivers may win out here. After all, the driver is getting the fun of driving this vehicle, so, well, the nosebleed section wins out when it comes to legroom. What you're going to find up front is around about 40 inches, but the big number is back here, around about 45 inches. Plenty of acreage for any size individual to stretch out. As for seating, you're going to find almost traditional bench styling back here, decent individualized styling on the outer side, but even better, some extra creature comforts. First off, with connectivity in the form of USBs, as well as a traditional household outlet, but also you're going to find heated and cooled seats for the outer positions. Just going the extra effort for backseat drivers, you'll find the same comforts up front as well. Lastly is when it's raining outside, oftentimes the backseat area is going to transform into cargo. Ram makes it so easy with just one pull of the seat bottom, swings out of the way. Now you can kind of put big items there in that open area with the truck raised up. Obviously a nice flat floor. Lastly is what you see here, nice heavy rubberized covering for the carpeted area, because after all, you're going to be in the mud and the muck. You don't want that to really translate permanently here on the floor area. Now it does for this edition where we're on a test drive behind the wheel of the 2021 Ram TRX, a 1500 at its core, but its DNA a true predator, ready to gobble up the competition and any off-roadness you throw its way. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.